Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the fancy fucking upgraded Long and Thick podcast, where we help you navigate the noise and cut through the bullshit in the health and wellness space. Daniel, why do you look so wildly lit? How are you?
Fantastic in contrast to you because of Zach Terzio's fantastic light manipulation. So
His wizardry.
Yeah, we enlisted his services because he's the GOAT, and
Truly.
we ran out of room. We ran out of room to grow with our amateur standing. So we brought in the best. So yeah, hopefully things look a lot better than what we were doing ourselves.
Yeah, further reminders if you're curious to see the difference, hop on that YouTube channel because the videos are litty like a titty. So
Nice. What's new in your world?
Man, not too much. Things are good. I am happy to report that thus far I've only gotten like 2 bug bites, which normally at this point I get
mosquitoes and
I
things
get
like
fucking
that.
destroyed.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's some holistic garden wizard listening that can be like, oh yeah, rub
Just
like
backflip into some sage or something,
Yes.
and some neem oil, and call it a day.
exactly, and then I'll be bug free. But so far only 2. Everything else is pretty good.
The aroma off your head, like the onion sensei from Parappa the Rapper, if you remember that.
I do. Yes, that is actually me. I think, I don't know about the validity of like blood type shit with this, but I'm B positive for anyone who wants to,
And you
siphon my
positively
blood.
just get bit the fuck up.
Exactly. I am, bite positive.
Nice.
What's going on with you?
Not a whole lot. Excited for this. It's kind of marked the turning point for the podcast. One, looking as good as possible, but
True.
it is a huge turning point for us because we've partnered with a really good friend of ours, our first sponsorship, which is super, super exciting. We kind of called our own shot and we're doing that this year. And then we got partnered up with just the right person, which agrees with both of our kind of respective backgrounds. So shout out Jason Colley. And we get to say for the first time ever, today's sponsor is PTU Biomechanics Course 1.0 from Jason Colley at PersonalTrainerU. If you have a client whose movement keeps breaking down no matter what you try, this course is going to change how you see that problem. Jason teaches personal trainers a complete system built around the human skeleton and the shape of your client's structure, how this one variable drives their hip mechanics, foot position, compensation patterns, and overhead range. One framework, everything connects. 9 modules, full assessment and programming system built for trainers who want to stop guessing and start understanding what is actually happening in their client's body. And then if you want to go through us, you can use code LONGTHICK15 at checkout for 15% off, and the link will be in the show notes. But beyond that, it's cool because we've had him on the podcast before. He is
first interview.
Yeah, he is a titan of a training and biomechanics mind, and he is a perfect middle Venn diagram between both of our disciplines. So
Which is hilarious.
It's perfect. It could not be better.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
I'm excited, man. Jason, thank you for the, opportunity. And in that, it just brought forth to mind the importance of mentorship, and what he's offering is that. And so, today's episode, we're going to dive into mentorship and the various components of it.
What are we looking at? Give us your thoughts.
Yeah. So I think, important to define mentorship. While I was looking at things, I was thinking about the like quintessential 8th grade girl project there. It's like, Kenya is my state. Kenya is a place in Africa, like reading, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yes.
So I didn't want to just read the definition of mentorship, but in looking at how it is defined, there's some key words that were used, like guidance, support, and knowledge from a person that has more experience in a field that you are pursuing, whether that be professional or personal. And I think there is a pretty important delineation to be made between each one. And we'll explain a little bit more as to why that is. But one of the things that really struck me when I think about mentorship is the word guidance sort of latched onto my mind as I thought about a mentor not trying to just create carbon copies of themselves, but rather nurture things that you may have a propensity towards that they may not.
Sure. A good mentor.
Exactly.
That's a big one, is because not to say that everyone is out to make a carbon copy of themselves, but some people are. Some people have that weird hubris that just cannot let go.
For sure.
They cannot see the enrichment for both parties, and
True.
being able to develop that person with their care to be the best versions of themselves with that pursuit, and not just impart everything of the original on that design. So
yeah, I think of, have you heard of Andy Elliott? You know, the guy, he's this,
maybe
you've probably seen clips of him. There's some stuff that blew up a little while ago. He had his like daughters on stage, like, show your abs. And they're like 6 and 8 or very
I did
young.
see this. Yeah.
And people had a lot of backlash to it, naturally so. His mentality and a lot of what you and I have ended up very naturally combating in the last few episodes is this like idea of toxic masculinity and this like macho, if I hold a gun to your stupid mom's head and tell you to sell umbrellas, you're going to fucking sell umbrellas. Like, okay, dude, no, I'm going to kill you. Like, what are you talking about? So the bad mentorship is that it's $20,000 for an hour call and you get to, so it's just really important nowadays that we are intentional with, you know, getting into who we allow to mentor us.
Sure. And the acknowledgement there, not to derail, but is, do some people actually respond favorably to that style of pressure and mentorship? Yes. But
Agreed.
You should also be looking at perhaps finding an avenue that doesn't require such extremes. Now that's a bit more nuanced. It's a bit more complex to get you to regulate down to be able to open yourself up to that advancement and that growth in that sense.
Totally.
But yeah, if you need absolute extremes, that should be your first cue that like you also probably need a mentor or guidance, but in a different way.
Yeah. But also highlights the importance of separating, you know, the personal and professional endeavors, because that might work really well in business, but you can't take business to like your family unit.
Sure.
And so if you're applying that style of mentorship to everything as a big net, like it's going to fuck you up. And so, yeah, anything around mentorship that you feel like I missed in terms of like describing it, or things that you want to add that are, you know?
No, I think that was really eloquently done. It's just the sense of, one, everyone is needing mentorship in a different way, but it also is finding it truly the right one. And it's not, you don't always know, you know, you're going to be, mentorship is taking you in a direction that you've yet to go, that is pushing you in places in a direction you're interested in that are still unknowns. That's why you're enlisting a mentor or a coach.
Right.
So you got to try it on for size, and you got to kind of have tent poles and feedbacks for like, am I getting better or feeling more comfortable in the space that I want to occupy? And you just see, and it's not always going to be perfect. But
yeah, you just relaunched this note that I had about the differentiation between a coach or a teacher or somebody like that, and why aren't those people mentors? And I think the biggest difference is the long-term commitment and the long-term focus.
Sure.
So it's having something that is like, you could argue, you know, working with us, maybe, there's like 2-3 year plus components, and I think that counts as a long-term goal, but it's different than a 6-week course. It's different than a thing like that. You know, so yeah, moving on. Point number 2 here. Humans will find mentors.
Yeah.
Break it down.
Yeah. Most of the time it's unintentional. Most of the time you're wading through something, floundering around.
Sure.
And then someone's like, hey, and like we see people, like we see a picture of our former self and we see possible really obvious friction or someone being frustrated, and they sometimes find you and they're like, hey, I see what you're doing. And hopefully it's out of a place of compassion and wanting to help and not as an opportunistic enterprising thing of, oh, this person's weak and confused, I can make $1 off this person. So that is your first tell, is really a good mentor is they're going to be helping you with no expectation to the contrary.
Sure.
That can change down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, just depending on the level of the needs and how you guys work, or guy and gal work together. And I mean, you can't just expect someone to change their entire life for you without some sort of compensation. Sure. But if the first thing is like, oh, I can help you, but it's this much money. Yeah. That's not going to be a good mentor. That's someone looking for your money. Yeah. So often a person will see or be in your sphere, see you attempting something, maybe failing, expressing some sort of outward frustration. It's like, hey, been there. Like, what do you need to know?
I've gotten it.
Yeah. What do you feel you're missing? And like, let's just have a conversation. And then either that person can provide mentorship or also connect you with a proper mentor. Like, and that can start the whole process there.
Totally. I've gotten a few of those online that are funny to me. Like, hey, so how many people do you see in a week from like some fucking random ass account with like 250,000 followers? And I just instantly, I'll start fucking with them. I'm like, hundreds, dude. Like, I don't stop working. Like, I'm drowning here. And it's like, wow, I have systems to help this. And I'm like, please tell me, what are your systems? And they're like, sure. Like, when can you get on a call? I'm like, dude, I can't. I'm with people right now. I'm working right now. I'm in between like 5 minutes of
you
sessions.
Have one hand on someone. You're feverishly sweating while also texting.
Exactly. It's just like, dude, get fucked. Like,
well, that's just, that is unfortunately that you have mentors and coaches also teaching people to do that very same thing. To
look for the lead. Yeah. And I get it. Like, we're in that day and age, and there's a lot of money to be made. And again, a lot of it can be very fruitful, but that's what I think is cool even about us sharing, like what Jason is doing is it's the culmination, not of you and I, but the future child is him. Right. And so like, it's not going to be for everybody, and it's not supposed to be. Sure. And that's the point. And this is not us like not giving a good ad for him. This is verbatim the conversations we've had with him around this kind of stuff. So it's
finding the right people for that. And that is someone who wants to help someone else be the strongest version of themselves while also understanding the structure implicitly to get them to that goal, because they are not mutually exclusive. Right. They are directly like compatible in terms of getting to the best end possible. And he has just synthesized the best way forward, which is great. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah. But the unintentionality, I think, is really key and borderline tragic. And I would go as far as to say that like your mentor will be an idol if you don't have something that you are working towards. Like, I think they're arguably synonymous. What you idolize is mentoring you. The younger patients that I've worked with, like, from like 20 down to like the youngest, maybe like 15, which is rare. It's fascinating to see some of the like cultural rift and the young people that love like clavicular and people that are like, I'm going to put meth in my face. And I'm on one hand, if I'm trying to be as open of a human as possible, I respect and appreciate exploration. And so I'm not knocking the like, you know, you're setting a trail that hasn't really been tread on, at least in our day and age, at the volume of exposure that people are seeing. And
I think it's human nature of any generation to seek out successful extremes. Yeah. So for me, growing up, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, yo, my God, you can be that big and command that much attention in this realm, and then switch over to acting
and be the biggest fucking star.
Yeah, and then that springboards you into politics. You're like, man,
can't be stopped.
When, not to take anything away from it, but when you start peeling back some of the layers, like, okay, I like some of this stuff. Some of this stuff is applicable to me. And same thing with, I have either trained or had conversation with or coached younger generation. So Sam Sulik, C-Bum, all of this stuff. And like, well, I want that. So it's like, okay, well, these people are doing this as they're all in. There's a lot of prices to pay on top of that, a lot of damning effects long term. Now, I think everyone wants, as a guy, you know, wants to be stronger, bigger, more jacked. Is that the only thing? Because that is the only thing for these people. Right. And that is also a sign of a good mentor, is weighing the options of, okay, this is the direction you're going. These are the avenues, and the extreme success result is the extreme success approach, which may not be for everybody. Sure. So, and it's a good mentor to be like, to be able to at least start you at the starting line of that particular phase and be like, okay, is this it? Yeah. Are we doing the extreme? Right. Because that's going to take everything. Yeah. Or this is how I got through. This is the wisdom I've gained along the way to save you some time to get you to the next piece of like, all right, now let's reevaluate. What's your next phase from here? Do we keep pushing? And also, the unintentional mentor can be anyone that's at least one step ahead of you. Yeah. So that can
dangerous.
Right. And it's can be cool because it could be someone who's like, oh yeah, like I was just there. This is how I got to this piece. And that might be good enough. Or that person doesn't know enough to get to the next piece. And then they hold you at phase 2 in quicksand.
That's a big call out, because that's not even something that I think folks consider. You're just like, next step. Well, you want someone that's 10, 12, 30 steps ahead.
Yeah. Or at least kind of like keep checking out the periscope and be like, okay, is this person have my best interest? Do I confidently think that they can develop me to step 10?
Right.
Have they gone through step 10?
Right.
And step 1 and 2 people also totally fine.
Yeah.
But you just can't be so, I guess, misguided that like your step 2 is all that you ever stay. And you don't check in. And if that person too is somehow holding you there, they make you feel guilty about that, then that's also a bad mentor.
Yet again, the difference between personal and professional. And if you blend both, maybe a bad sign that that's happening. Let's dive into 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about at least one example of mentors that we've both had, and maybe some that are versions of bad, styles of that. Do you want to start? You want me to start?
Whatever. I mean, the easy low hanging fruit is like, that's an easy one. It's like parents. I mean, because they are mentors.
Fuck.
They get you started, and both my parents were delightful and the most supportive, and they were the type of people that even if they did not want to necessarily give me the answer, I was a very inquisitive child, and they taught me well and gave me a lot of room to run and question. So that started ramping up real quick. So I started asking questions that probably they didn't want to have answers to just yet.
Sure.
But they did. They entertained it, and that was awesome. But for me, my first 2 mentors, neither of which were bad. They were both amazing. So in getting into music, I had a mentor. I call her Mama Llama. She's like a mother, older sister, aunt figure to me, named Monica Slazinski. And she taught me so much about music business, booking, music management. So that was my first, when you're a kid, you're just like, I want to play music. But she had tons of experience in it and knew the lay of the land in all of South Florida. So that was huge. And she was an asset for, decades, and just, hey, this is what you should be looking at kind of thing, talking about label interest and touring and how to manage things in our home turf and abroad. So that was awesome. And then another gentleman named Todd Paxson, who was my first real job as a teenager, which was kind of another impromptu father figure where I just had to learn how to occupy labor things, moving things around. But he, gave me structure, and I learned how to be an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter. He taught me how to get into competition shooting. And it was a lot of his interests that kind of spawned things like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, do you want to learn?
Sure.
And it was just an open, obviously it was still wrapped in the shell of I'm helping him and his family maintain their ranch. His wife had a grand champion dog showing business.
Oh, wow.
So I say this as like, it sounds creepy, but it's not remotely creepy. They had a ton of responsibilities. They had very small children. So I was basically hired to be the able-bodied teenage son that they did not have. To just do anything. It was a catch-all, cover-all position.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It's still to the day I would consider it possibly the best job I ever had.
That totally makes sense. I mean, even if you look at athleticism with kids, right? They talk about getting very early commitment to like a single sport. And that's a horrible idea. And why it's a bad idea. And what you're describing is a complete antithesis to that. And professionally, it lets you experience so much more, which is something I think young people, even myself, I did the same thing, but not on purpose. But people don't get the type of exposure to things. And that's a really profound place to learn even about learning. Because you can take the problem solving skills that you picked up from wiring a outlet and go, okay, how do I, take some of that experience? That's a fucking hot wire. I need to check this thing first. And it's building these like thought habits and patterns and ways of recognizing other stuff that doesn't seem like it translates. You're not going to think about, oh, is this wire hot? But it's more so the skill that you learned in those moments. So it makes sense that was so like
it was incredible
transformational.
because I mean, one, it whooped my ass. I was a little kid.
Oh,
I was
hell
not,
yeah.
this was pre-surgery Daniel. This is before anything fitness Daniel. And it would just, I was a snot-nosed tiny little kid, and he gave me just enough to like go home, like basically
And
crawling.
go to sleep. Yeah.
And just the dirtiest, gnarliest, but every day was different. It was interesting.
That's cool.
And it wasn't like, oh, just go suffer. Like he was with me most of the time, showing me, but then it also offered me a ton of autonomy down the road. Like after working with him and knowing the whole property and all the demands for like a year, I mean, he would just, hey, listen, we're going to take a family vacation. Like watch the house, watch the barn, do all this stuff, and then do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And having that level of trust as a late teenager from an entire family with their livelihood, it was very empowering. You know?
Totally.
What about you?
Yeah. I'll share some similar ones. So funny enough, I hadn't really thought of this person as a mentor in this way, but in, let's see, earlier years, for a while, I was working in home automation stuff, and
Like
a lot
smart
of that
stuff.
Yep. Wait, what did you say?
Smart stuff.
Yeah. Like camera integration in homes, sound systems, all that kind of stuff, but for like billionaires. And so, the person who co-ran that company, thinking back to some of what I just described to you, actually carries over very well into what I do now. And they were very intentional about like getting me to understand and zooming out. Because we were dealing with things that were like, God, houses that had rack rooms that were the size of this gym with like, I don't know, 700,000 different cables in it. And like every single unit had a different label and processor and blah, blah. Like it's just so much to have to like orchestrate. But if you can take a system like that and make it work functionally, and then when something doesn't work, come back to it. Working with somebody recently, his name was Anthony, and yeah, an unintentional mentor that actually ended up being good. So some shout out that there can be ones that like, at the time I was like, damn, you're a fucking pain in the ass. Like, and you know, piss off, but
kind of like the Miyagi Yoda thing. It's just, they challenge you in all the ways. You're like, you suck.
Yeah. And I'm not doing this long-term, so I don't care about getting better. But again, the carryover to what I do now is actually really interesting. And there's somebody who I started working with recently, who we were just talking casually, getting to know each other a bit while doing some PRI stuff. And they were like, oh, interesting. Like that sounds like that line of work really got you good at like appreciating the body. And I literally never heard it thought of that way, and it never dawned on me. But my PRI mentor, Yoshi, who's here in Nashville, has, and I'm not saying this to sound like cocky, but been like, you're picking things up quickly. Like I'm actually a little bit surprised.
You're made for this. It resonates with you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't make you cocky at all.
Sure. Just, you get what I'm right. Like, I don't want to sound like arrogant about it. It's more
He's
just
so
like,
arrogant, y'all. I have to deal with this every single day. I'm mentoring him out of arrogance. Sorry.
Every day he fucking has to bring me back down to earth.
I kid. No, he's the most humble person I know.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. But the carryover in looking at like the body in these systems and thinking, okay, an ankle thing is not always just an ankle thing. Like, let's zoom out. And so, mentorship with Yoshi and PRI stuff like gave me a lot of hacks. Like what took him 17 years to get to, I could get to his 5-year point in like 6 months because he knew all the shit that he did wrong or looked at weird or got too caught up on. Right. And so the potency of a mentor is like, they're supposed to actually springboard you past them. And if that doesn't end up happening, either you haven't been in cahoots long enough for it to happen yet.
Sure.
But it's the fucking old adage of like the
student becomes a master.
It's a thing for a reason.
Sure.
It's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
Right. Because then that new master takes on a new student. And then that person gets better and better and better. And we keep refining each other over the years as opposed to fucking competing, which I think is the, biggest crux of what drives healthy mentorship and our communities and all that shit. So
absolutely. Yeah. It's funny you say that because I have to remind some clients, even they're elder to me, but they have kids and they're watching like sons and things like that. They're exposing them to things and their sons are taking it even farther and like, oh my God, like what do I do? I'm like, you gotta show them everything that you've done and also just be okay that like they need to surpass you.
Mm-hmm.
They need to do everything that you did that they see they're sponging from you. They need to do it faster, better, more efficiently because you're there to guide them, but they need to find their own way and they should surpass you.
Right.
That is just the generational advantage.
Yeah.
So, and they think about like, oh wow,
fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
It's much more freeing to be there because
like,
now you're not, again, like it's not your fucking adversary. Like, oh, I'm always going to keep you down a little bit. Like, why?
Yeah. It's your legacy. Like, so yeah.
Love it.
So we gave a bit of our own mentors, but let's break down that a bit more specifically, the difference between a personal mentor and a professional mentor. What do you look for in either? Or what have you maybe not looked for moving forward, but in hindsight, what have you seen that has been a benefit for both? Yeah,
I think the dividing line when we're talking about like personal, I think of things that are closer to home. They have more influence on your relationships and your relationship choices, your finances potentially, the way that you behave as a human. Somebody that is almost like the integrator of what you do in or have potentially done in some form of like counseling to get over a shitty attribute or a bad coping mechanism or whatever. How do you take that and then look at somebody who's done it? I think the most obvious version of this that comes to mind is like AA, right? Like your sponsor is usually a form of a mentor. And I guess just normalizing the importance and validity around being choosy with the people that you allow to influence different sects of your existence, like a financial mentor. And that person doesn't get to give you relationship advice because maybe they fucking cheat on their partner all the time, but they're rich as fuck. Not always synonymous, right? But like,
make me rich, but let's not talk about my marriage at all, ever.
Exactly. Please. Yeah. I don't want to hear your advice about how you treat animals or women or whatever the thing. And so, which gets tough, right? Because I think sometimes we want that person to be
the best of all
in one.
Sure.
And I don't know that any of that exists, right? No. Like everybody has those days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about this at length, like the skill tree and the star graph, if you will. And that's the unfortunate part too, is everyone's abilities are finite. And if someone has put themselves completely into one side of that star plot, there's going to be deficiencies in other ones.
100%.
So, except for you, you're perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a perfect star, actually.
Except for being arrogant.
Yeah, there you go. That's my fucking red center in the middle. It's actually a middle finger. So, I mean, I think, both of us have described, even just in recanting some of those other mentors, like versions of that, like my unintentional first mentor, or another that was a spiritual mentor when that was a really big part of my life, who now, again, prime example, I would not necessarily want any type of relationship advice from or spiritual advice, just where I'm at. But do you feel like you have delineations when you're thinking about, what? For
sure. So I would say like Monica would be kind of straddling both.
I agree. Yeah.
Because
from what you described.
She developed me as what I should feel and look for as a person navigating that space, because South Florida is very unique, and she will corroborate this. And she's actually I want to take any spoiler alert, but she's writing about the very same thing. So I'm excited for that to come to roost. But it's a lot of, hey, this is how you have a good business and how you structure it when it comes to music, but also this is how you should navigate it. This is what you need to look out for, which are far more personal in nature. And I would say for Todd, it was more personal. It was so much more of a spiritual development and a confidence building thing. And like the technical acumen was cool. Like learning how to do a bunch of stuff was cool, but like it really was a growing up and finding my own confidence and autonomy in a realm that I was never really exposed to. Some of it a little bit, but I also, it's too close to home, literally, when say like my dad always loved to do stuff on the weekends. He was a very able-bodied, super labor-driven, always having projects. So when you just want to sleep in on a Sunday, he's like, you want to help me in the backyard, which is like 8 hours of that. And you're like, no, but you do. But you know, where making it my job, it was different. And so later, so in terms of professional mentorship, I mean, I'm being professionally mentored right now. I've hired a business coach because we've talked about this a little bit, is being a musician and a creative and pursuing that for so long, you really do like put a pin in your professional development and you just never land your life away a little bit. And so I feel like I'm at a disadvantage that I'm trying to shore up and learning the better business landscape of running a client-based business and how to diversify that on the internet and marketing and all that stuff. It's not my strong suit. So I've enlisted someone to be like, hey, this is what you do.
The fuck do I do? Yeah.
Please help me. So there, and also the owner of my gym also probably straddles a personal and professional mentor because he is on the throne of a very successful gym business and probably the oldest legacy gym business in Nashville. So there's tons of insight to be had there because one, I appreciate his personal touch with how he does business, but also he's done very well in business. So that is another one that's just like immediately in my sphere because he employs me and I get to pick up things along the way, which is a huge benefit. Yeah.
I guess even as we're talking about this, I think maybe I misframed the separation. It doesn't need to be this like staunch cutoff. I think the bigger piece, and it will reflect back onto you as you're working with somebody, along somebody, beneath somebody, whatever, is where your boundaries allow them to influence. And for you, the things you're describing, like that's a very healthy blend. And in some ways vital because you need pieces of like friendship and insight and sharing vulnerabilities and things like that to even get enough trust with somebody to give a fuck about what they have to say. And also for them to know, oh, you're sharing some real shit with me. I will give you this in return. And it's like this unspoken trade, right? That happens as a byproduct of time and allowing those channels to sort of intersect. But I think the star plot is honestly the perfect illustration for it because you're gonna get some of this and not that, and some of this and not that. So for anybody who is trying to find mentorship in anything, I think the takeaway message is make sure that you have your boundaries in order prior to. Make sure that they're not only one step ahead of you, unless that is the intention.
I just want the next little piece and then we'll see where I end up.
Right. Yeah. What else would you say first for people who are looking for mentorship right now? I also feel like does it feel like it is at a low?
Yes, because this is a thing. It's kind of a thing that we didn't enlist for our kind of progression here, but we can also separate now in the modern world. Mentorship, I think, is less enterprising. And now we are in the land of online coaches and we ourselves are online coaches. And I will say to anyone who wants to get better at anything, whether it be a mentor or a coach, while it feels like a sting of an investment up front, it is the best way to move forward aggressively. Because I can tell you, for instance, I am so good at taking on a new task and I will sit there and woodshed and do all that kind of stuff, but I will still develop my skills my own way. And in music or in fitness or in other pursuits, I cannot tell you how many times I've spent years and people are like, oh, well, you got really good at this. But then one little thing that was so technical, I was like, that could have saved me so much time in the very beginning, especially like around music and production and things like that. So I would say to anyone who on the technical side, we'll call this like professional development, hiring a coach is paramount. If you just want to see where you go, great. But just think, if you are trying to develop a skill, especially a professional skill, what is more important? Investing in yourself early and just getting there, or what is the hemorrhaging monetary effect going to be if you go around in circles for multiple years?
That's true.
When someone could have broken up that entire thing and just been like, hey, this is what you need in a couple months.
Yeah.
And where would you be then?
Yeah.
So that is something to entertain at least. And granted, that blurs the lines of what mentorship truly is. And you are getting a professional mentor or coach to hopefully springboard you several steps quickly. And yes, that often comes with a monetary premium, but often do the math. And the price that feels like, oh God, I'm paying that what right now, you're going to be saving so much more than you don't feel the slow bleed over years.
Sure.
But then you're still right where you ended up, or you're still confused.
Yeah.
So something to entertain.
For sure. I think if it feels confusing that we're like, everything's about money, it shouldn't be, they shouldn't ask anything of you, you're misunderstanding what we're saying. The investment is necessary.
Yes.
I would argue more for you than it is for them. That person, especially if it's a huge, expensive course, they're fine.
Yeah.
They do not need you to come on board.
Right.
But
that is your commitment to yourself.
True.
And your own financial accountability that like, oh,
holy fuck,
did this.
Yeah. I just dropped 12 grand on X thing. I better show the fuck up every single class and session and whatever thing. And you're not going to not.
Right.
That's the reason that these other endeavors have become half-assed things, is because there was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'll figure it out on my own. Oh, I'm busy, the time, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
So that's an important piece of the puzzle and circles back to what you're describing with again, this fucking star. I love this goddamn star. Apparently, it's like I'm playing a Mario Party over here collecting stars. Yeah. But that peak, you want to get there sooner. I think there's a client who was he played in the NFL for a little bit and then was like bouncing around. And honestly, more so left because he's like, I'm making so much more money doing this other thing than this. And I don't care about getting concussions right now. So I'm going to build my business this way.
Or I care specifically about not getting concussions.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I meant. And so he explained everything you just did and was like, I try to fast track things, not in terms of finding a shortcut. The shortcut is paying a fat ass amount of money, which sometimes means taking out a loan. He was explaining taking out several lines of credit to get in with some coach guy that was like 40, 50 grand, and he made it back.
Yeah.
The problem is that the ad that's like, here, do this thing with me and I guarantee you'll make your blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You know, this had happened much more organically in a circle of trust that was like this, I'll show you some real estate stuff and then this and whatever. And they were like, but they did it. And trust me, when I say now, they are doing just fucking hunky dory. Yeah. Right. But the highlight there is not the money. It's the skill of saying, I'm going to enlist somebody else who has already done this. You, myself, Jason, 20 fucking years is a good chunk of time to have done the dumb shit. Yeah. To have made the wrong choice and gone down that road and then had to turn back. Like you said, the time difference is the biggest piece of potency. Basically,
when I tell someone that same with the analogy of what's more important to you.
Bring up the star again, please.
Do you want your skill tree to have a big fat like spike into one bit of success? But when I talk to people about coaching, when I coach people and when we do like intake calls, it's like, it is my job. Is all the information technically out there? All the information is technically out there on anything.
Agreed.
There's nothing that's truly gate kept. But the problem is you have too much information. You have no way of separating where in your arc that information should be enlisted or instantiated.
True.
And then as a coach, I coach people. It is my job to see where you are, synthesize where you need things taken away or given to make the most meaningful effect in your life to get you closer to your goal.
Right.
And it's different for everybody.
Right.
So, and that's what you're trying to find in a coach or a mentor is that person has done all the dumb shit. Like you said, I've made so many, mistakes and errors, and that's a learning thing. But in doing so, it's why I can make people stronger in a fraction of the time that it took me, is because I was fumbling around, mostly finding out what didn't work.
Right.
And then found stuff that did work. And now I can immediately give it to somebody and be like, here, and they get immediate results.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all a mentor and a coach should be, is a way of synthesizing circumstances to make you more intelligent at your crafts, to have more efficient ways of getting to the end and giving you a good amount of mental and emotional support in the language that you need to get there.
Yeah.
So that's what you should be looking for.
Fucking crushing it with the visuals. You got my brain getting that synesthesia going on. I'm like, meow, 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 meow.
Yeah,
Where in the arc? Holy shit. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful description. That's so valid though. Yeah. I mean, I think all these things are very important. It's a lost art.
Sure.
And so be picky, be
It
choosy.
does take a village or at least another mentor at the end of the day.
Yeah. Set up your boundaries, have your ducks lined up. And if you need mentors in the health and wellness space, you got some guide rails here between
for sure.
myself
And then again, shout out to Jason Colley, PTU, for now being on board and supporting the podcast, because it's a really cool partnership that we're excited about.
Hell yeah. Until next time, motherfuck.
Bye.